Travis and Boss Tables here. Going to go through the initial setup of a Pro Series table. First thing you want to do, cut all the packaging off. Packaging, you want to be careful when you cut it off. Don't scratch your table. Don't cut anything you're not supposed to, because that plastic is very thick. Your slats are going to be banded. You want to cut that out and remove that. That is not supposed to be in there. It's nothing more than to hold the slats down in transportation, but your table does come with all of these in position already. Get it level. Your table will have leveling feet on it. This has casters in it. We build them with casters, so we're able to roll them around in and out of places. But essentially, get it on the ground, get it level using the leveling feet, and then from there, you're going to want to start filling it up with water. You have 7 inches of storage here and a 5-inch deep cutting area. Your water is full when this 7 inches is full. To fill the water, what you want to do is take a hose, stick it in, start pumping water into it. Make sure the valve is closed on the bottom of the table. We also recommend that you fill it full of water before you put your cutting solution in to be able to drain your table if you overfill it. To essentially put water in the table, you need to have this valve open. This valve will allow the air to escape and the water to fill that 7-inch cavity. You can check the water level by shining a light in through the grate and seeing exactly where it is. If you overfill it, there's a valve on the bottom, open it, drain it out. Then put your cutting solution in. The solution that we supply stops fungus, bacteria, and rust. Rust being the most important, as you have a steel tank and you don't want a hole rusted in it. It's very important from here on and forever that you treat that water and you maintain it and take care of it to prevent your table from rusting a hole in it. This valve assembly here, after you get it full of water, plug air into it. This valve right here supplies air pressure to your scribe. You're going to want it open. Air pressure goes to the scribe, essentially holds it up and supplies air pressure to operate the scribe pneumatically. This valve right here fills the water on your table. To pump water onto the top, you want to close this valve and then supply air pressure via this valve. It will then displace the water and push it on top, allowing you to control the height of your water. Now, you've got water in it, you've got your table level, you want to keep hooking up the electrical on it, or do this while it's filling. This box right here is very important. What it does is it turns your machine on and off, gets a raw arc voltage and the arc OK signal. Coming off your table, this DB plug plugs right into here. Screws down like such. And then these 2 wires right here, as you can see, one is white, one is blue. They fit into here, white and blue, match the colors up. This assembly will then sit on top of your power unit and use one of the mounting screws for the outer cover of the hypotherm to fixture this in place. This then goes into the back of your hypotherm into the CPC port. If you ordered a power unit through us, it already has a CPC port. If you have an existing power unit, you're going to want a plug that looks very, very similar to that to allow your machine to be able to turn on and off via the controller. So we've got this installed. Now, turn your computer on. It comes shipped with the computer mounted. You're going to want to mount the monitor, keyboard, mouse. You can take the excess wire and push it in the hole right here. So essentially you do not have this going on. From there, you've got your monitor, keyboard, mouse, your power units wired in. You're essentially ready to turn your machine on. Now, when you turn your machine on, it is very important that you have the E-stop switches released. If these are not released, your machine will stay in E-stop. You have a switch here, you have a switch on the other side of your gantry, and you have a switch on your computer stand. All 3 of these need to be released. Also, the torch needs to be mounted. If the torch is not mounted, the machine will automatically be in E-stop. So, you got your torch mounted, your E-stop switches are off, your hypotherm is plugged in, your table's leveled, it's got water in it, it's got solution in it, you're essentially ready to start programming and cutting parts. Now, what is this wire? What does this wire do? This wire essentially is a homing switch. There's a homing switch in here, and there's also a homing switch ran off of continuity. This runs much the same as an ohm meter. When this wire and the tip come down and sense steel, it sets home. You will have to choose a tool, and that tool is derived off of these tips. There are 45, 65, and 85 amp tips. Now, fine cut tips are also ran at 45 amps, but they're distinctively different. So, these part numbers are all called out, and the assemblies are all called out right on the top of your power unit with a diagram to show you exactly how to assemble them. But, real quick, how do you assemble it? Got a barrel, my outer cone, screw them together, and this is important too. I get a lot of questions on this. I then take my 45 amp tip, stick it in, take my electrode, stick that in as well, and then a swirl ring. This is not a fine cut swirl ring. Notice the double set of holes. Stick that in there. This is a fine cut swirl ring. There is a big difference there. Now, how do you assemble a set of fine cut consumables? This is a shielded mount. Assembles much the same. Like so. You then take a fine cut tip that looks like this, insert it, make sure it's in there. And again, this piece does not go here. This is bad. Don't ever do this. Put that on like so. Drop the tip in from the top, fits in there nicely. Then take an electrode, drop it in the top, and the correct swirl ring. And there you have the difference. Fine cut versus normal consumables. This is lighter gauge sheet metal. This is anything, you can run some light gauge sheet metal on as well, 16 gauge on up. And this part is the same till 105. So big difference there. Other than that, I suppose, how do you fill your table full of water? What you want to do is you want to have your air supplied right here. Close this valve, stick your airline in. This can be permanent. If you have a scribe, you will have a T coming down with another valve, and that supplies air pressure to your scribe itself. Close this valve, and when you want to fill it with water, you open this, the air will displace the water, pushing it on top. Be careful, don't let it overflow, because it will if you don't pay attention.